Hey guys, James here, back with another video. It's actually been quite a while since I've released a video, but this is something which I wanted to get out for quite some time. Been using this product for a while. This is the Tenda, well, this is the brand, it's called Tenda. It's called the Nova MW3. And it's essentially, it's a Wi-Fi mesh system. Now, as you can probably tell from the title, I was wrong about mesh systems. And you know, if you've watched my previous videos, I did some unboxings of some access points, and I thought, you know, hardline access points, they're the best way to go. Tenda actually sent me these to be reviewed, and after using this, I was honestly very surprised with the performance. So in the box, this is the 3-pack. You can get a 2-pack or even the single pack. The 3-pack includes 3 of these. They're basically identical. You get the power adapter, 1 Ethernet cable, and you get your standard kind of documentation and your kind of quick installation guide. Very lightweight. You can see there's an LED indicator at the front. You just got this kind of nice design. RST, that's your reset button. So just kind of stick a pin in there, hold it to reset. You have your WAN/LAN input, and you have your LAN input and your power socket, of course. This is the thing that you're going to be using for your direct connection to your modem. So that's what the WAN/LAN is for. The other LAN port is essentially just if you want to extend your network. So for example, if you want to hardline in like your home theater system or something like that, if something doesn't have a wireless device, or even your computers or whatever. With the MW3, it is only 100 megabits. It is not a gigabit LAN port, so just take note of that. At the back, you can see these are some of the details. I'm just covering up a QR code, and I'm covering up my MAC and serial number, just so that you guys can't hack at me. But as you can see, this is the model number. It's AC1200, so a combination of 5 gigahertz and 2.4 gigahertz. That's the SSID and the password, which you'll need to do the initial setup. So essentially, this QR code is used to set up the device to connect to this exact one. And as you can see at the top, you can mount this on your wall. This is just the power adapter in case you want to know what it is. These are some of the specs for that. So if you were to just to follow everything step by step, we just, scan to download the app. It is managed only through the app. So unlike a lot of routers, you log on to 192.168.0.1, but this is managed entirely through the iOS or Android app. You then connect your primary node. Sorry, that's the thing that you use. That's the term, node. And as you can see, this is the setup. So you just connect it, and then you connect to your primary node via Wi-Fi. You then kind of use the app to set it all up. Then you then place it, into your house, and then these are the different connection types. Now, the cool thing is that these are actually scalable, so you can actually add more and more and more to your mesh network. So I could buy another 2, add that to my network. So if you've got a really big house, then you can just keep adding more and more and just placing them in strategic places to get that coverage that you need. So now I'm just going to quickly cut to a little kind of diagram which I did up of my house, a really rough diagram, and to show you a comparison of my existing network and how this one just completely kind of changed and trumped that, and why I'm actually using these from now on. So just quickly cut to that. All right, so I've got this very vague layout of my house. It is not by any means to scale. I try my best, but this is currently how things look like. So the whole point of this is to show my existing network topology or my network setup. So you can see this little foyer area, that's where my NBN connects into my Optus modem. This is also a wireless router as well. It's a 2-in-1. And what I've had to do was essentially hard line in 3 access points around my house in order to get decent coverage. I've got an access point in my lounge, which is, there's a cable running all the way there. And also I have my home theater and my TV setup networked in as well. I've got one in my other room and one in my study room. So these are both hardlined in, and I find that there's something unique about this specific spot which prevents me from having good coverage. That's why there's one in each room. So this is the TP-Link access point. Yeah, it works okay. It's not amazing, but you do have to manually switch to each individual network. So this is called the North one, the South one, and my JC room. So what I've got is just some basic speed tests. So the first one is with this Optus modem. So this is the 2.4 gigahertz, and these are the rough speeds that I'm actually getting. Now, once I reach beyond this point, I actually don't get any signal using the 2.4 gigahertz. My theoretical speed is actually 93 megabits per second. That's what I'm theoretically maxed out to get. So you can see in the foyer, right next to it, I'm not even getting full speed. I'm only getting 75 megabits per second. In this room, 76. My JC room, that's even worse at 36. In this room, the study room, 75. And the dining room, 52. So not that great by itself. Now, when you bring in the 5 gigahertz network, things are actually getting quite interesting, because 5 gigahertz is supposed to be a smaller, lower range, but there's less kind of frequency clashing, because stuff like cordless phones, which I do have around the house, they run off 2.4 gigahertz. So as you can see here, I'm getting actually quite a consistent number across all these rooms. Now, I get 0 signal in the master bedroom. I get 0 signal in the lounge. This is the maximum signal that I can get. But I will say, and I'll preface this, that all of these tests are done in a very controlled environment where my phone, which was what I did the test on, is the only device on the network. And so this is the only device that's actually being used. What I found is that the 5 gigahertz network from this Optus modem is good by itself, but then when other people are trying to use the network, it's a really, really bad time. Like, you really get nothing on the actual, it's really difficult to get good speeds. So that's why it isn't that reliable. Sure, I may get good theoretical speeds, but real world speeds aren't that great. But I needed to get it consistent, so that's what it is. Now, let me just quickly introduce the TP-Link on the north side. So this is pretty much the areas that it is supposed to serve. So this is the master bathroom. So 78 to 79, 76 to 79, 75, surprisingly right next to it. So again, not that great. You're not getting max speed. At least, it's better than the 0 signal that it got last time. When I bring in the other two, you're only again getting 75, 76 for each one. It seems that the TP-Link does max out at 75, 76, even though it's hardlined in, which is a bit unfortunate, but hey, at that time I was like, that makes sense. It's better than 36, and better than, because I find that even these 2.4 from the Optus, they're not consistent. So that's pretty good. But the Tenda is even better. So we can see that this is the new setup. So the Tenda, you have one in the foyer, one in this room, and one in this room, right? So you can see each one, there's only 3 of them. And they're all wirelessly linked. These aren't hardlined in. The only thing that's hardlined is this connecting to the modem, obviously. It needs the internet. And everything else is wireless. It's connecting through this mesh network. And these are the figures that I'm getting for each room. Just look at those figures. 91 to 93 in pretty much every single room. 88 in this room, which is not that great. I think it's because it has a lot of metal filing cabinets, hence why maybe the signal just can't get through. But 88 is pretty good. 92 in the foyer, funny enough. 86 to 88 in the back bathroom. But remember, that's quite a distance away. 92, 94 in the master, 86 to 88 for some reason in the lounge. I'm not sure why. That figure was a bit funny, but hey, 86 to 88, that's still pretty good. 90 on the outdoor deck, and for the first time, I can actually get 83 to 85 on the carport. So if we compare this with the previous figures, I got 0 signal in the carport from any wireless device, and now I'm getting 83, 85, which is really, really nice. The reason I need it in the carport is because when I dock my phone onto my car and I play Spotify, before it was still trying to connect to the Wi-Fi network, it didn't switch to my cellular network. So having this is really good. I can actually play music now before I actually leave, which is great. 92 in the room, that's really, really good. 93 in this room, 92, 88. Of course, the 5 gigahertz Optus one is supposedly better, but it's not as consistent, as I said. This is just one device accessing it, but you can see that the mesh network, the MW3 mesh network, is really getting really good signals across the entire house, and I'm just honestly really shocked. Again, I didn't really expect the mesh network to do so well. And so now essentially I've taken out this, and I'm running completely just the mesh. The numbers speak for themselves. And again, I want to stress that yes, it's a very ideal situation. It's not real world stuff, but from just general use of doing things for the past kind of 3 weeks of using this network topology, I'm very satisfied with it. I don't have to change networks. It's really amazing. So I hope this helps to explain a bit of that. All right, so just want to quickly take you through the app itself. So I've downloaded the app using the QR code. So going into the app, you can see the Tenda logo here. And I've obviously already set everything up, so just waiting for it to load. So the app can sometimes be a tad slow, and this is what I was talking about sometimes, that the app just doesn't outright work, which is a bit unfortunate. So what I usually do is just close it and then just reopen it again, and usually that does fix itself. So what Tenda have told me is that they're actually very close to getting a web interface available, so you can access it from your computer. So that would be really, really handy to have, because I think the phone is convenient, but also, as I said, it just doesn't work sometimes. Okay, so now it's working. So as you can see here, we've got the tryout layout. So obviously we have the foyer, we've got my unboxing room, and I have my lounge rooms. Once you finish setting up, this is the thing that you get. Now you can have a look at connected devices. You can see here all the different devices that are currently connected to my network. But we can see here this device is 2.4 gigahertz, whereas the rest is all 5 gigahertz. So that's connected devices. You go into settings, and I'll just show you some of the settings. So these are the wireless settings, just for your network name and password. Internet settings, so you select what type you want to use. If you want a static IP address, DHCP, PPOP. I'm not exactly sure what these are. I think DHCP is if you want it to be the main router, but obviously I decided to opt with Bridge because I want to use my Optus modem as my main router and this one as a secondary. So this one doesn't have any configuration. It pretty much is plug and play. You can add another Nova to your network. I don't believe it has any limitations on which one. You can just add one. Fast roaming. This is one of the things which I said was really crucial. So this function allows one Nova to hand over clients quickly to another. If the operating system of your client does not support quick handover, such as iOS 4.0, which is very old, you are recommended to disable this function. So unless you're really rocking really old devices, these are really, really good, because this allows you to switch to the different nodes a lot more aggressively, which is what you really want. So that's really good. Definitely have that on if you can. Capacity oriented, so enable this function with over 30 clients connected to the Nova Wi-Fi network at one time, which I don't, so I don't have that. Smart Assistant, so with this function enabled, the Smart Assistant connects your device to 2.4 gigahertz network for 30 minutes to help you discover any small smart devices. So I think this is a feature where if you do have a lot of smart devices, it would automatically try to help you to do that, but not doing that. You can read more about that, I'm sure, from the website. The firmware upgrade, so we can click to detect the latest firmware. I'm pretty sure I'm on latest for all of them. The foyer one took the quickest to upgrade because that's the one that is the gateway. The rest took some time. Maintenance schedules. So this, if you enable this, it essentially allows you to choose when the system's going to reboot. I just disable this because I feel like it's not necessary, but they've obviously got that in there for a reason. Maybe I might be doing that later. Account authorization. So you can actually add a member of your family to say, hey, these guys are allowed to actually access the network as well, and to make changes. So that's pretty cool that they have that option. That's pretty much all the settings. If you go into, for example, this one, we can see the different connection quality. We can see the status, whether it's online or offline. Obviously, you see the serial number, which I've blurred out. You can see that this one is the gateway, and you can tell it to, you can name a location. So I've just named this as the foyer location. The way that you tell which one is which is what you can do is you can turn the LED indicator on and off. And by doing so, you actually can find out, okay, this one that I'm looking at is the actual one, and then you can name it accordingly. So that's pretty cool. If you did have this as the main router, then you would get the upload and download megabits per second on the top. But because I'm not doing that, that's why I don't get that. So on the top right, you have your own profile, which you can use to obviously log in and manage your stuff. But hope that's a quick overview of the app, and I really do look forward to the web interface that they'll be adding soon. Maybe I will do a video on that, maybe not, but definitely stay tuned for that, because I think that would be a great addition to this mesh network device. All right, so I hope that was helpful for you. Seeing the actual real world speed tests, as well as the just how the app works and some of the stuff in there. But yeah, to summarize some of the good things and some of the bad things about it, I think let's just start with the good stuff. The good stuff, I think first off, you got to say it's got a much better coverage than what I used to have. You saw those figures. You saw how consistent the MW3 mesh network is in terms of speed and just the general coverage you get. And I think along with the coverage, another part is that it's really seamless. So everything just works. Just being able to switch between 2.4 and 5 gigahertz seamlessly. I think also the fact is that I can like go from one end to my house, run in less than 10 seconds to the other side of the house, and I'm having the exact same speed. And I think that's really, really valuable, because a lot of access points actually allow you to do that, but I find that the switching is just far too slow. So they allow you to clone the existing network name, but you know, I would go to the other side of my house, I would walk slowly, and it would still be trying to connect to the one over the other side of the house. Whereas this one automatically just connects to the right one. And I think, yeah, just to reiterate, the switching between 2.4 and 5 gigahertz by itself really means that you are getting the best coverage whenever possible and the best possible speeds. I think that the app's really easy to use, really easy to set up this device. Only takes less than 10 minutes to do it. I think there are a pretty good amount of settings on the actual app. So I think being able to see all the connected devices, the IP addresses, and also whether they're on the 2.4 or 5 gigahertz, that was really valuable for me. I think, you know, being able to switch, you know, with aggressive and stuff like that, aggressive switching, you can manage everything through the phone. So it's convenient that it's all on one app. The general form factor is really good. It's very small. It's unobtrusive. It doesn't get in the way. It doesn't have big antennas sticking out. It's just one cube that you just stick in one spot, and you pretty much just leave it. And you can pretty much put this anywhere in your house, really. And I think the probably the biggest one of them all is just cost. This pack of 3, even though I didn't pay for it, obviously Tenda sent it to me, but it only cost $150. And in a sense, you saw in my diagram, I had 3 TP-Link access points. Each one cost $50 something. So in a way, I should have just bought this. I shouldn't have bothered with buying 3 of those, because this does the same job but even better. I was very skeptical about mesh networking, but I'm totally convinced that it actually does work. And I think just the seamlessness of it is a huge selling point. You can buy the MW6, which is a much larger one. It does, instead of 300, it does 600, up to 600 square meters. Now, whether you actually really need that, that's up to you, but they do have that option that if you want more coverage, you can go there. That one costs about $300, so double the price, but that's up to you whether you think this is worth it or not for you. And this kind of leads me on to the next part, which is the cons. There is no gigabit LAN on the MW3. So the network port at the back is only 100 megabit. Now, that might be okay for you. If you have less than 100 megabits download, then that shouldn't be an issue. It only becomes an issue when you are starting to do network transferring. So I've got actually a NAS, and that one does do gigabit. Having that gigabit LAN port would have been really nice. Also, if you do have internet which is faster than 100 megabits, then obviously you need a gigabit LAN port. If that's the case, then I would say definitely you should be looking to getting something like the MW6. Maybe overkill in terms of the coverage, but has that gigabit LAN port. I think it's unfortunate that they didn't just include a gigabit LAN port in this. Maybe you might be able to get one MW6, use that as the kind of master node, and then maybe use the MW3s as slave nodes if you don't want to spend that premium. I'm not sure if that's possible. If you have experienced that, you can comment down below, let me know. But that's something that you can look into. Another thing, updating the firmware was a little bit slow and can freeze at times. If you are updating the master node, I think because it has a direct access to internet, it's okay. But if you're updating the secondary nodes, it does take a while and can actually freeze. So take note of that, but it can be done. You just got to be patient. You just got to, you know, wait for it a bit. But it did finally update these ones, but it took a while and it took a lot of patience. So that's another thing. But it's also great that you can actually update the firmware all within the app. You don't have to, you know, go through and download it separately and all that. I think the last one is that it's a little bit buggy sometimes. Like I've had my parents complain that they couldn't get coverage or that the speed was really slow, but that's a very rare case. So that's not a common occurrence, but I would still, even with that kind of element of risk, I would still definitely implement these and to replace my existing access point topology. So I think just to summarize, I think just cost is really cost efficient, 150 bucks Australian. The seamlessness of being able to just connect to the one network and switch between 2.5 5 gigahertz automatically and just be able to roam around the house without changing stuff and having good coverage. I think that's the really big key parts. Really easy to set up, but as I said, you know, there are a few settings which aren't available. The fact that it doesn't have a gigabit LAN port, but I would definitely 100% recommend this for you guys. I have no hesitation to do that as long as you're aware of those things that you know, aren't as good. If those are deal breakers, then, you know, perhaps look at a different device that does those things. But if those aren't a deal breaker, which it probably isn't for most of you, then by all means get this. It will definitely increase your coverage and it will make your life a lot easier. I've changed my mind about mesh networking and mesh devices. I think they're great, and I think Tenda has made a really good product here. So if you want to go ahead and get this product, links are down in the description below. If you do use those links, they really help me out. They give me a bit of a kickback, so they help this channel to keep going. But yeah, I hope you really liked this video. Like it if you liked it, dislike if you disliked it. Leave a comment below if you have any questions or any comments about this network or kind of anything else, and I'll try my best to get around to answering those as soon as I can. A big shout out again to Tenda for sending me this product to review. I think you guys made a great product. Subscribe to see more videos like this in the future, and I will see you guys in the next one.